This is Hard Parking, sponsored by Right Honda and Right Toyota out of Scottsdale, Arizona. I'm your host, Jhae Pfenning. Coming up on today's show, we visit with Matt, the motivator, DeAndrea. He's back on camera this time. We're going to talk about BRAVAGO energy drinks that he and Goldberg, the wrestler, started together. Also sitting in studio across from me is my friend Devan Artram.
Hello, everybody.
Devan's going to be hanging out while I talk about some of the stuff that I forgot to talk about on the last episode, plus do a little bit of complaining. Right now, we're drinking on some Elijah Craig. I just picked this up the other day. They do not sponsor this podcast. Actually, nobody liquor-related sponsors the podcast. But as Devan knows, I like to drink. He and I used to have drinks together in Fort Worth. But he picked out this Elijah Craig Toasted Barrel, 94 proof. Hits pretty hard. So what did I miss from Puerto Rico? I don't know how I forgot this. But we did an excursion, the bioluminescence. They have, I think, 3 bioluminescence bays. I don't know if you ever know what that is.
Do not.
But they're microorganisms that glow when agitated. So you have to go basically in the middle of the night. It's got to be hopefully no full moon. And there's this thing called light pollution. I've talked about a little bit on the episodes before in the past. But what happens is when you go on these excursions, when you agitate the water glows. The thing about this excursion, though, is my wife signed us up. We go out there. We're on this boat. And I was worried because I forgot to bring my motion sickness medicine because I get motion sick. I talked about that on the Puerto Rico episode. But the boat is super chill. So they split us up into 2 groups. And I forgot the actual name right now. I'll do it in the closing of where we went. But it ended up being of the 3 in Puerto Rico, it's like the worst one because of all the light pollution. So you don't really see. It was still cool, but you don't really see as much. But the thing about the excursion is the guys take us out on these boats and we get in these kayaks. It's a kayak thing. So it's like, hey, should we bring our cameras? I'm kind of thinking I don't want to drop my phone because up to this point in the trip, I haven't experimented with my phone in the ocean and I didn't have a strap for it, nothing else. So I'm thinking if I drop my phone, I'm fucked. My wife's on the kayak with me. She doesn't know what she's doing with the paddles. So there's double duty. So it's worth risking. But the boat captain's like, don't worry about it. We'll take photos. You guys will be fine. All right, cool. They got this. So they load us all in our kayaks. And then they said, all right. And they showed us on a map. This is where you're going. So you have to go down here on the bay. Up to the left is these groves. It's a dead end, so you can't get lost. When you guys get done, we'll blow the big whistle, and you guys will come back to us. And we're like, wait a minute. You're not going with us? And I go, no, we're not going with you. So we have all these people going on this excursion, pitch black. We're in the ocean. We're in these kayaks. So we're kind of freaking out, but not too bad. Fortunately, my cousins are with us, and 2 or 3 of them, I mentioned one in the last episode. He's naval. He's from the Navy. He's going to be a frogman, so he knows what he's doing. His brothers know what they're doing, too. So we felt a little better because it's like, I've never gone kayaking like that before. I've never fell out of a kayak or jumped out of a kayak. I've just got on from the shore, which is easy to get on and off. But when you can't get on, I don't know if you've gone kayaking.
Yeah, I've been whitewater rafting a couple times, but never something in that scenario.
Right.
And
you can't see you're in the ocean, right? And so I jumped off of it. Didn't know how to, it was hard as hell to get back on. Mm-hmm. So everyone's looking at me like, there's no way I'm going to do it if Jay can't figure it out. 1 or 2 of us jumped off, but the fact that they sent us by ourselves, pitch black, couldn't see shit in the mangroves. My wife starts panicking because what we end up doing is we go to the end, we get bored. We didn't hear the whistle to come back. So everyone grabs the kayak next to them. And so with that system, the ones on the outside do the paddling. Everybody in the middle can just chill. So I'm laying back on the thing and I'm holding on to the edge. I'm listening to people complain about stuff and just kind of chilling. I look up every once in a while to see how, if we're getting closer to the boat. At some point, our formation breaks apart. And so my arms get wider and wider and I hear my wife, she starts to panic. Right? And I'm like, well, what the hell's going on? I look up and we're going right toward these mangroves. My wife's panicking. She doesn't know what to do. She's pedaling, and she starts pedaling towards them faster.
Oh, man.
So I told her, just chill. I got this. Just don't touch anything. I got this. But the crazy thing about that whole excursion was the fact that they just dropped us off. And so when we get back to it, the guy's like, hey, we have this burlap like curtain next to this other boat. You guys go underneath it and you can see all the cool shit. So it seems sus. He was right, though. You get underneath that curtain, you play with the water, it glows. I was doing all this, this raving shit with my hands, but the shitty thing is there was no way we don't have any photos of that. The photos the guy took were from the boat. He's like, hey guys, flash. So it defeats the whole purpose because you don't want to see the flash. You want to see the water glowing. So,
Yeah.
Next time we go to Puerto Rico, we're going to do one of the other ones because one of them is supposed to be, I think, the best in the world. And so that's the one that's going to show up best on social media because when you watch this stuff on social media, it just looks like Adobe After Effects. It looks like edited video. It's that unreal looking. But when you experience it in real life, man, this shit's legit.
That's pretty cool.
Another thing is, we get a lot of people, Wes and I, we do One Drink Wednesday.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm aware.
And people say, hey, man, I watched your podcast. I love your podcast. I watch your podcast. I'm like, oh, great. And they go, yeah, I try to tune in every Wednesday. I'm like, that's not a podcast. That's Instagram Live.
Yeah.
Guys, that's not a podcast. It's Instagram Live. You want to support the podcast, Hard Parking with Jhae Pfenning, Shameless Success with Wes Tankersley. Those are the actual podcasts. You can get them anywhere. Guest rental car segments, something I want to complain about a little bit.
Yeah.
Like I've had Jamie, the Nomadic X-Ray Tech, on a couple times.
Mm-hmm.
I've had Lynn on. Lynn doesn't want to come back on. Lynn, I'm calling you out. You won't know this because you never listened to the podcast. Because she says, I don't know that much about cars. I don't want to get on there and make a fool of myself. And anybody who's ever listened to the podcast, the rental car segment, it's made for people who don't know or care about cars.
Yeah.
Tell me what you like about it. Tell me what you don't like about it from a normal, everyday person. So podcast listeners, if you're out there, you have a rental car on vacation, call me. Let's talk about it. I just want to know what you like, you didn't like, because somebody else may be looking at that car as something they want to eventually buy.
Exactly. Not everybody's an enthusiast, but there's nothing wrong with that.
Right. Do you think I wanted to rent the Kia Carnival that we had in Puerto Rico, the first one or the second one? No, I'd rather have a sports car or a nice SUV, but that's a people mover. My wife's a people pleaser. We had to carry everyone all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So I got stuck with a minivan that I wouldn't normally have in real life.
There you go.
And I can tell you the pros and cons of it. It looks great, but for the ones that we had, kind of sucked. Finally, the Q&A segment. I posted this on Hard Parking Violations. Should I do the Q&A segment? Because I haven't done it in a long time. But, it's kind of a lot of people comment on that thread that don't even listen to the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And so I know that. I don't know how I know it. I just know, And the thought is, why would I ask your question? Why would I ask and answer your question on the podcast if you're not even listening to the podcast? It's a waste of my time.
Yeah.
And waste of my listeners' time, because most of the time it's a question I've already answered. What do you like better, the new NSX or the old NSX? Okay, well, I've had the new one for a year. I've probably answered that 6 times. Coming up, Matt, the moderator, DeAndre. Okay, Matt. Well, welcome back to Hard Parking. It's been a while.
Yeah. Hello. Thanks for having me back on. How are you?
I'm doing good, man. It's been a while. I want to talk a little bit about cars. I have a few questions for you. Regarding what you've been doing lately. And of course, obviously, BRAVAGO. I think last time you were on, BRAVAGO was still on its way out.
Yeah.
Or coming out soon. I've ordered it a few times. I drink it often. It's actually my favorite drink. Yeah, let's talk about it a little bit.
Yeah. So BRAVAGO is it's a new beverage company. We have a hard seltzer that I started with Bill Goldberg, the WWE wrestler.
Oh, yeah.
I guess retired now. He's just mostly on his ranch in Texas, building out his super garage, and which has been a project for him for a few years. But we came up with this idea a couple of years ago, and just spent about 2 years putting the plan together, working on the formulas, and wanted to make something a little bit different. So you've tried it, as you said. It's more like a fruit punch than it is a seltzer, right? So it's just got more flavor to it, and then just kind of the branding and image for it. It's in regular 12-ounce cans. It's not in the slim can, and the idea was like, the white slim can with the fruit on the label is not really something you imagine Goldberg holding, right? So we kind of went with more a conventional looking can on it. But listen, it's great. We offer it in a variety 6-pack. There's 3 flavors. We just won a number of awards from Seltzer Nation for all 3 flavors, and the vanilla orange cream won best vanilla seltzer of the year. So it's a number 1 there. So we're working on some new campaigns and some new product as well. We're working on a non-alcoholic product. That
it's got to be tough just getting into that space, a seltzer space, energy energy drink space, anything that's consumable, it's probably very difficult. So that's it's a major accomplishment just to get to where you're at. And, right?
Yeah, thanks. So it's interesting. So the barrier to entry isn't that high, but there certainly is a lot to figure out. And this is the kind of product that you would outsource to various vendors. And you would
Mm,
think that all of these vendors doing it for years and years and years would be pretty good at it. And we found that that's really just not the case. Like we
mm,
use what's called a co-packer, and the co-packer is who's sort of assembles our ingredients with the carbonated water, puts it in the cans, and it cleans it, puts it in the boxes. We send like the cans, we send the formulas, we send the labels, we send everything. They kind of assemble it and put it and pack it together. That's what the
sure.
co-packer does. We've gone through 5 co-packers in the last like 2 years since developing this. Like we just can't get anybody to get it done correctly. And uh so much time and money has been wasted on these co-packers. I mean, one of them with a new product, we probably lost 100,000 cans of product. They just didn't do it right. Carbonation levels were off. Product was basically flat, and they're sitting on 100,000 cans that's been bought and paid for. That's useless. It's all got to just be dumped down the
Wow.
drain. Uh, and of course, you're like, who pays for that? Like, what's going on? And not to mention the delay in sales. As a new company, we can't really afford to have screw ups like that. So it's that part of it has been pretty crazy, pretty difficult. But uh, getting the product right and getting it developed and getting the formula done is not too bad. You kind of like building a house or doing graphic design. You do a few rounds, you kind of spec it out of kind of what you want. And in our case, we do 3-4 rounds of tastings till we figure out what it is that we want. But the formula was mostly, I mean, it's pretty standard in the industry, but there's a few tweaks to it that I asked for specifically before we even started. Just some thoughts on it. For example, I didn't want to use stevia or
Right.
erythritol. Stevia has a weird like metallic taste to it, and erythritol really you can't digest it, so it makes you feel bloated. Um, so I wanted to use monk fruit, and I know monk fruit has an aftertaste, but I find it to be a little bit of a sweeter aftertaste to it. So it's not really as harsh or as off-putting as stevia would be. Um, and I just think we ended up making a better product because the monk fruit is easily digestible. It's a natural fruit, 0 calorie sweetener. So we kind of went that direction with it, and I think it's good. By the way, it's a great mixer too. Like if you're into a harder alcohol, you want to bust out some vodka and that strawberry lemon flavor, you got yourself a nice little cocktail right there.
Yeah, and so is that monk fruit when I'm tasting when I first take my first sip? Because I only taste it the first time, and then I just pretty much chug the rest of it. I look down and I only have like this much left in the can.
Yeah. So the other thing is we didn't go overly carbonated. We went
Right.
lighter on the carbonation, and it just makes it easier to drink. And yeah, it's totally crushable. Like all the flavors you could just you realize you think you're just drinking like a fruit punch, and then after 2 or 3 into it, you're like, oh, that's got alcohol in it. And like, yeah, it does. So it's a little bit of the monk fruit. And we've just turned up the flavors a little bit. So we we basically tasted every hard seltzer on the market and just came back with going, I get it. It's kind of light on flavor. It's just like a slightly flavored water, which is fine if
Or it's
you
too
want
sweet.
like, yeah, or you just fine if you just want like LaCroix or something like that.
Yeah.
And then we wanted our hard seltzer to just have a little bit kick. So the brand Bravago is Bravago Bold Seltzer. And under that Bold Seltzer banner, we'll have our hard seltzer and another product that'll come out hopefully later this summer. So the bolder flavors, the 5.1% alcohol, just all sort of fit under that theme of what we were going for, just being a little bit bolder.
What kind of feedback have you gotten? Or do you guys get any feedback other than maybe like private groups or?
Yeah, so we do. Some people reach out to us on social media. They write reviews on the website. We get quite a few DMs, some emails directly to us. We've done some tasting events. It's interesting at the tasting events, most people go by and they're like, "Oh, I don't really like carbonated drinks, or I really don't like seltzers." And I go, "Oh, well, that's great because we're low carbonation. This doesn't taste like a seltzer." And then they try it, and they're like, "Oh, wow, that is pretty good." So we've been pretty happy with that. Listen, some people, it's tough to nail flavors across the board, right?
Sure.
So there's just no way to do it. Like some people love pizza, some people don't, right? Some people love, a grape flavor or something. Like I think, for example, peaches. I eating a peach is fine. Almost anything peach flavored. I think it's tough to nail peach flavor, like peach Snapple, peach, energy drinks. Like I just find that tough to hit correctly. And it's not that I don't like peaches. I just think creating that flavor is tough to do. So for me, I don't normally order some peach flavored tea, iced tea, peach flavored iced tea. It just doesn't really work for me. So it's tough to kind of nail flavors for everyone. So what we have found is people that have tried BRAVAGO seem to like it. And not everyone's going to like all the flavors, but we've been getting a lot of feedback where people are still buying the variety pack because they're cool with it. And they're cool with all the flavors. And across the board in our industry, the variety packs still sell the best of almost any RTD, which is a canned drink, ready to drink.
So can you order like just the flavors by themselves, or is everything still?
So not yet. So our first production run, which you have, we just built variety 6-packs. Now, if we start getting some demand for individual flavors, which honestly we haven't yet, nobody's really asked for the individual flavors yet. They're still trying the variety 6-packs. Then we'll do the individual flavors, but probably just online on our website. So you can order on our website. We ship to 38 states, and then we'll probably come up with a way to just do it individual flavors for that. But as far as like retail stores, as we grow that out, it's more complicated for stores to grab multiple SKUs, in this case, multiple products. So they just kind of want the one variety 6-pack, or if we have a second variety 6-pack with different flavors, they kind of want that. They don't want 6 products that they have to order, right? They just want 1 or 2 products. And you fight for shelf space, or you fight for the cold box if you're in convenience stores or some grocery stores, and you're you could store it room temperature, you can buy it that way, like a lot of drinks. But if you want it cold and it's in the cold box, you got to think about that. Have you ever been to a grocery store or a convenience store and there was empty shelves in the cold box? It's very rare that there's empty shelves.
There's rows upon rows upon rows.
Right, which means if you want that space, somebody else needs to get kicked out, or somebody else's product needs to be reduced, or you stock half as much of something. So it's always tough to fight for that space. So that's where the variety 6-pack comes in, because
it makes a lot of sense. I have my favorite flavor. I think I've told you that before, but I'm thinking about some of the other seltzers and things out there, and they're all come in varieties. It's rare that you get one of the flavors. So I guess that makes sense.
And oftentimes people just try to mix it up and they do the different flavors, especially if you're new to the product and you want to try it. And then, I've heard from people, and I have some friends that like 2 of the 3 flavors, and they're just hanging out with friends or giving it to spouses or whatever. And they're like, "What do you think of this flavor?" And it turns out when it's more than one person, chances are somebody likes all 3 flavors,
they're all good. Like I don't, I pick through, they're all gone. There's nothing's left. I drink the last can and I order. I wait till I'm almost at the last can and I order. So, they're really good.
Well, I'm glad you like it. I appreciate that. Yeah. And I see the orders coming in. So that always makes me happy when somebody repeat orders. It just means they like it. It's kind of what we're going
the flavor profile of them, it's unique. No one else is doing that as well. So good job on that. But I look at it and I'm like, is there a like a cherry limeade or a key lime pie or something. And I don't even lime is one of those things too. I actually like lime flavored stuff, but I don't really like limes. So kind of opposite of the peach stuff.
Yeah.
I'm not
Okay.
asking for a cherry limeade or a key lime pie, but when I look at the flavors that you have, it seems like that would something like that would be like the next progression. But if there's no need to change it right now, then maybe storyboard that for phase 3 or phase 4.
Feel free to crack those cans open and experiment with flavors. Add some lime to something, see how you like it. Let me know. Then we'll try it out.
I'll be your mixologist.
Yeah, why not? We're working on listen, the other day I was just it was getting warm outside and I was like, I'm going to drink a Bravago. I was like, but I want ice cream. So I grabbed that vanilla orange cream.
Yeah.
I threw 2 scoops of vanilla ice cream in my glass, poured it in there, and made a nice adult boozy vanilla orange cream ice cream float.
Oh, that sounds fantastic. I'm
And
going to do that right now.
It was fantastic. Actually. It was great. I loved it. It was great. It had a little bit of that vanilla orange in it, which was perfect. And the ice cream was totally on point. So I tried that and I liked it. So now we're probably going to put together. I mean, the recipe is very easy, but we'll probably put something together on social media and promote.
You could
that.
do like adult ice cream pops. Remember the ice cream pops when we were kids?
Yeah.
It wasn't really ice cream in the middle. I don't know what that was, but we thought it was ice cream, so it tasted good. Yeah.
So I like cream soda, and I liked the creamsicle ice cream pop, like with the vanilla ice cream and the orange like shell. And I don't know what it's made out of back then,
right?
But the creamsicle was popular, and I just wanted a little bit of that nostalgia when I came up with the vanilla orange cream one, and it seems to be doing pretty well.
That's nice. Hey, I actually have those right here. I have all 3 flavors. So let's put this up to the camera. Where's the camera? There it is. So we got there you go. That's the float.
That's Sweet Freak. That's the vanilla orange vanilla orange cream. And Chill Out is the Rainier Cherry. This one is interesting because black cherry is the most popular flavor out there between Truly and White Claw and everything. And I was like, but the Rainier Cherry from Mount Rainier, Washington, which is only in season a couple of months a year, and right now it is. I was like, the Rainier Cherry to me is so much better. So I went after that profile and we created a Rainier Cherry.
Well done. And then the third flavor, and I think this is actually my favorite, although again, I like all 3 of them.
So this one's called Sucker Punch. It's the strawberry lemon. Yeah, I wanted to go to lemonade. I wanted sort of our spin on the lemonade, and the strawberry lemon it's the most crushable for sure. Like, and it's the most it's the broadest one, right? Because so many people like lemonade, and we just kind of wanted our spin on a lemonade.
Well, it's crazy because lemon's another one of those things, you like one portion of it, but lemon flavored stuff usually doesn't fare too well. And when it comes to some of the lemon seltzers, I can't drink any of them. Like I have a really bad reaction to every single one of them. This thing, just like you said, I could crush all 3 of these. I could probably crush them right now.
So. Yeah. Feel free. Do whatever you want. It's your show.
No one needs to know. Oh, let's see. Let's go ahead and let's crack one of those right now.
There you go.
Guys.
Yeah, he's got the Sucker Punch, the strawberry lemon.
That's right. Drink Bravago. Well,
it's like 110 degrees out there. So yeah. So after this podcast, I'm heading out to Vegas for speaking of cars, for a Ford event. I am driving the Bronco Raptor at the Ford Off Rodeo.
Which
awesome. Is like their off-road experience, which I got a sample of it last year, but now I get to go spend a day out there with them. So I'm just literally flying out, checking in the hotel tomorrow morning, like bright and early, 7 a.m. We're going off-roading in the trucks for a few hours, then I just fly right back home.
Sounds like a terrible event.
It sounds great. And next week, the end of next week, I'm going out with Ford again, but here locally in LA, we're going to Irwindale Speedway, and I'm doing a day in the new 24 Mustang EcoBoost. Mm-hmm. And then the next day I go back and hit the track with the new Mustang GT.
How's your Lightning?
Lightning's good. So I have a 22 Lightning electric truck, which I think is great. It's pretty much my favorite car to drive, but it's basically a really nice F-150. I got an F-150 Lightning, so it's like a really nice truck with comfortable seats and all great features. And the fact that it's electric just means it's quiet and fast, right? But aside from that, it's no different than a regular F-150. It's not, it's got normal gauges in front of you and a normal shifter, and it doesn't have some of the more kind of futuristic features that pure play EVs have. This was a truck that they put electric motors in, so it's and they've mastered the F-150, right? So it seems pretty good. The thing hauls ass. It's like 0 to 60 in 4 seconds. So
That's fast.
it's
I mean,
good.
F-150s have always been, well, not always, but they're really nice. I think they're really nice trucks. So let's throw an electric motor in, and there you
Yeah.
go.
And I drive a lot of different cars, a lot of EVs, and look, I haven't really found anything that gets me quite the range that is advertised. My truck is advertised at 300. I don't think anybody's getting 300. I probably get about 265. Now, I don't know the exact testing conditions, but there's a couple things like how much you use the air conditioner. Um, that is a factor, and I don't know how often they use it when they're testing. And then the one pedal driving. And if you've driven EVs and you've tried this, the one pedal driving is you're hitting the accelerator, and then when you let off the accelerator, it applies the brakes for you, right? And it
It's like
doesn't.
engine braking, right?
Yeah, it's like engine braking with the electric motor, and you get
Yeah.
more recharge happening with that. Now, I don't like it. I like to let off the accelerator and coast, to a stoplight or whatever. I just think it's far more comfortable. Some people love the one touch driving. I think if you are the driver, you can get used to the one pedal driving. If you are a passenger, especially if you're in an Uber, like if you're in the back of a model Tesla 3 and they have the one pedal driving on, I think it's wildly uncomfortable. You're just jerking forward and back, forward and
Right.
back. So I turn that feature off and make it drive as much like a normal vehicle as possible. Now, does that take away some of the auto regen, some of the charging at each stoplight? I don't know. Maybe it does. I don't think it's enough to make a difference, but maybe it does cut a few miles off my total range. But it's just more comfortable that way. So I get about 265 miles of range, somewhere around there with the truck. But yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, I've had that before. I had the Tesla for a weekend, and I noticed it was weird. I also turned it off after about a day.
Yeah.
It's just we're just not used to our whole lives, right? Our whole lives before we could drive. Since we've been driving, it's just you're just not used to it. It feels like a carnival ride or something.
It kind of does. There's too much like you leaning forward because it's just like you let off the accelerator and in your head, you're like, why is the car hitting the brakes? It's a weird feeling for me. I guess you can kind of get used to it and figure
Yeah.
out a way to modulate a little bit to make it smoother, but it's just easier for me to turn that feature off. But driving a lot of EVs recently, Genesis is fantastic. Audi's fantastic. I'm just returning now the Audi Q8 e-tron. It's a great size SUV. It's quick, but not as quick as I thought Audi would be. It's somewhere in the mid to low 5-second range when so many EVs are quicker than that. And
Right.
with Audi having some really good performance variants in their lineup, right? RS6, Avant, and pretty much any of their RS or S branded vehicles. So I was expecting a little more from Audi, but it works great and it's nice. I just wanted something a little bit sportier. Um, Spent some time in recently the Volvo S60 Recharge. So it's a plug-in hybrid. So I got about 40 miles of range on the battery. And then the gas engine, of course, jumps in, and that's quick, and that was a nice car. Volvo is like
They're nice.
just underrated as far as attention. Like we should be spending
Yeah.
more attention to Volvo. They make some really nice, and the
Yeah.
design is on point. Like their SUVs and their sedans. S60 is great, S90 is great. The XC 90 SUV. They're sharp looking. Those are
Mhm.
nice.
Yeah, I used to want an Audi really bad recently, and I had an S90. I think it was in 2019 when I was in California for a week, and I was like, "Is it time to buy an S90?" Because
Yeah.
it looked great, but the technology was just blowing me away.
Yeah, they did it. They did a great job on that vehicle. So, but how do you like your Infinity? Now, I know we've touched on your NSX, which is fantastic, right? I love that car, and
My
I'm
only
sure you do
complaint
as
about
well. When
my
you
only
don't,
complaint about that NSX is for a hybrid. It's
yeah,
got the quiet mode, and you could sneak into the house, but you can't sneak out of the house because it doesn't allow you to cold start an EV. And so that's kind of a weird thing.
interesting. You can't program it
No.
to quiet start like
Yeah,
certain hours of the day.
the engine has to already have been heated up at some point recently, and then you could start it in silent mode. So I can come home from the grocery store, use the restroom, leave, and I can leave silent, and I could pull in silent. But in the morning for cars and coffee, I hit
Yeah,
the start button without my foot on the brake, click it all the way over to quiet and start, and you can hear it start up. It's not as loud, but it's still loud enough to wake my wife up who's sleeping right above the garage.
yeah,
So it's a silly complaint, but at the same time, it's a silly miss.
yeah. Yeah, interesting. This
Yeah.
behind me on the camera is the 2021 Mustang Mach 1. And the Mustang's like, there's no EV mode, but it does have the active valve in the exhaust. And I can set it to start. Like if I start the car within certain hours of the morning, I can have it start with the valves closed and
Nice.
be in a quiet mode. Right.
Nice.
I never do that though.
The
When
my
I'm up,
my
everyone's up.
my 5.0, my Infinity, it's my project car. I have a lot of fun with it. I'm way behind on
Yeah.
YouTube videos, and that's why I bought the supercomputer to help me crunch those a lot quicker. But those are the videos people want to watch. They don't care about the user car videos, the rental car videos, stuff like that. Like statistically, they like to see those videos. So I need to, what? I haven't done one video on the NSX yet, or my wife's MDX. So it's
Yeah.
it's
So
all Infinity.
oh, I we spoke before, like you just got the car and we spoke, and then you've had it for several months now. You put the new wheels on it. Explain to me the flat or the damaged rim or what happened. Like what? Because it seemed like it was brand spanking new, and I don't know, you curbed a wheel or something on it, or
Yeah, and right as
flattened
I
a
hit 500
tire.
miles, I hit some sort of a crazy pothole or something, and it damaged the wheel. And I didn't have wheel protection on there. Of course, they didn't offer it, and I didn't think about it. And that's the first new car, Matt, that I bought since 1999.
Yeah,
So I'm not used to this whole cycle. But I ended up getting it replaced, and I got it fixed, and the wheels are hanging up on the wall in the garage. And I just went with the white wheels, bought them off of another NSX owner, and I just like that kind of that classic look. And it's kind
yeah,
of funny to say, but I didn't want to look like every other NSX on the road. Not that there's a lot of them. So
yeah. I don't think your cars in the past have really fallen into the cookie cutter. Everybody is the
right,
same kind of look. I mean, just look at the NSX behind you on the wall,
I
right?
know. And
The
well,
wraps and stuff that you've done in the past have been pretty wild.
it's
They've
it's
been
funny
fun.
because people say, "Oh man, I saw a car. Were you on so and so and at 15th and 30th the other day?" I'm like, "No, I saw a car that looked just like yours." I'm like, "No, you didn't. You didn't see a car that looked just like mine. How dare you?" So it's
Yeah,
I
and
don't
listen,
know,
I got
man.
that the other day. Someone goes, "Hey, were you in your Mach 1 on so and so road?" And I was like, "No." And they go, "I could have swear it's the one with the hood scoop." I was like, "Well, we're trying to sell the hood, right? So Anderson Composites is trying to sell the hood that we promoted on this vehicle. So it's nice to hear that maybe somebody else out there has a Mach 1 like mine with a similar hood."
Yeah, it's a car person thing, right? Like people who
Yeah.
aren't into it don't get it, but you try to do just a little bit to try to separate yourself. But yeah, the cars are doing good. You going to Monterey?
Yeah, so I was just at dinner a couple days ago with Adam Carolla, and we were talking about it, and I don't think he's going to be racing a car up there, but well, we
Mm,
were just talking about going and being able to maybe hit up some of the other events that we don't normally get to go to because of his racing schedule. We can go to the Concorso Italiano, we can go to Exotics on Broadway now, which was Exotics on Cannery Road, but now it's Broadway. So if we want to do a few of those things, so we might just go up and have a little vacation and not do any racing this year.
That'll be good.
His cars haven't really been prepped, and he's been moving warehouses and stuff. So yeah, that was the chat we just had the other day, and I was like, let's do it.
When was the last time you guys went where he wasn't racing?
I can't remember. I mean, I think it's been like a decade straight. So
yeah, that's a chunk
as
of
long
the
as
day.
I can remember.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we try to plan around it. He's got a handful of racing cars that he likes to bring up there, and oftentimes we would choose the car a little bit based off of the schedule. Like if we want to go to the Quail, then we look at the run groups for Friday morning and go, well, you don't want to be in those run groups, so maybe pick a different car that has a different run group, which is, I guess, a luxury that you get if you have multiple race cars.
Well, man, thanks for taking the time, dude.
Thanks so much for having it. And
BRAVAGO.
enjoy the drink. I appreciate it. It's a new company, and I've always said the best way to kind of support your friends is to just to buy their products and listen to their podcasts and download their goods and
100%, dude.
And I appreciate it. So
as long as you guys keep selling it, I'm going to keep buying it.
Thanks so much. Drink BRAVAGO is the website. You guys can buy it there. We ship it to 38 states. So yeah, thanks, man. So I'll see you up in Monterey, right?
I don't think I'm going to go.
Yeah, you said that last time, and you showed up
it every
after
time.
a party.
Yeah. So, but as of right now, I don't think I'm going to go. So we'll see.
You got to just go up for the Thursday night event, right?
No, I did that once, and you and Adam made fun of me
for not going to other things.
Yeah,
for not going to the track the next day or anything. Yeah,
yeah. She we had a family trip that she had booked, and I go, I'm not going to miss Monterey. Even if I go for one night. So
yeah, I think it's good. Hopefully, we see you there.
All right, buddy.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. We'll talk soon.
Later. Back with Devan. Devan, you had some comments about the rental cars.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm a frequent renter in the business world, traveling sales rep and all. So I spend almost a weekly basis at my local national rental car counter at Mesa Gateway Airport.
National. I'm a national guy. You get the executive.
Oh, yeah. Executive. I'm trying to get my way to executive elite. That's the goal for the calendar year. So we'll see. I'm pretty close. Just cruising that direction. So.
But you were saying during the break or during the interview that if you have some certain person's working, you kind of get the hookup anyway.
Oh yeah. Shout out to my girl Selena over there. She always hooks
Selena
it up.
Fired.
Yeah. We'll nix her name, but no, she hooks it up. I mean, anytime I roll up there, reserve something like an intermediate or full size car, she's sticking me in something nice because she kind of gathered from getting to know me and chit chatting with me at the counter that I like tacos and I like nice cars, so she'll stick me in some pretty cool stuff. 2 weeks ago, I had an Audi S4.
Oh man, that's nice.
Pretty sweet. A little bit better than your run of the mill Nissan Altima in base form. So,
what's been your favorite car that you've been hooked up with?
This year, I think my top's probably. Yeah, this is actually in Albuquerque at the Albuquerque airport, but I got hooked up with a BMW X5 SUV, plug-in hybrid, which was new to me. Never driven a vehicle like that, but it was in the Emerald Isle. Kind of looked out on that.
Yeah.
Walked up and had less than like 5,000 miles on it. Gorgeous white on like a I don't know, caramel interior in that car. Drove like a dream. Pretty sweet. I didn't get to try out the true plug-in hybrid capability, unfortunately, but nonetheless, it was a good drive for a good 5 days of business.
Dude, it doesn't matter. I would say one of my favorite rentals was also a BMW. Sometimes national, depending on where you're at. I don't know if they do this on purpose or the people who park the cars just don't know anything, but they'll park a car that you're supposed to pay extra for in like the regular aisle.
Exactly.
And those that know. In fact, you may have witnessed this. You get off the airplane, people are running.
Oh, yeah.
They are basically running to those rental cars.
Yeah.
So they can.
If there's a shuttle involved, you're taking an elbow to the chest before you board that thing.
Yeah. So. People just because they want to run and get something really cool.
Yeah.
It's lucky when you look up and it's like a family because you're like, oh, thank God they're gonna get that Kia Carnival piece of shit.
Exactly. Yeah, the Chrysler Pacifica, that kind of stuff.
Hey, I actually like the Chrysler Pacificas. I would never buy one.
I was gonna say don't sleep on those. Those are actually if you need a family hauler and a rental vehicle, those are pretty solid. I've never driven a Carnival, but I would take a Pacifica over a Carnival any day of the week.
Yeah, the Carnival that I had didn't have any power, so everything was manual. So just adjusting the rear seat for the third row so people can get in was a pain in the ass every single time. In fact, we were there in Puerto Rico for 10 days, and it's by day 7 or 8 is when we finally got down the process of how to lower the second row seat so that the people can get in the third row, and then lock it into place. Because if you don't lock it into place, that thing is sliding and clanking every time you come to a stoplight. It's a loud thud. So first off, thanks for wearing that your One Auto shirt, man. I'm gonna have to hook you up before you leave. I got plenty of them in the closet here.
Yeah, there we go. No, we'll roll through my closet on the way up here after changing from work, and I was like, hey, might as well join on throw on the swag and
that's right,
rock One Auto.
That's the One Auto, I think 2020 or 2021 shirt with the EST 2016. So the newer one is very similar to that. Logo's a little bigger, and it has an actual word One Auto underneath it. I'm wearing my Hard Parking shirt, of course, which you guys can get from hardparkingpod.com from the swag store. But Batesville, tell us about Batesville.
So Batesville, we're a funeral merchandise company. We've been in funeral merchandise manufacturing since the 1880s. So long company history. We were purchased by a family in the early 1900s out of bankruptcy. And then fast forward about 70 years from that, in 1974, I believe, we became a publicly traded entity under the corporate umbrella of Hillenbrand Industries, which was the namesake of the family that bought us out of bankruptcy. So we've been in business, like I said, manufacturing caskets has been our mainstay as far as what we produce. We also produce consumer goods like urns, keepsakes, and that kind of stuff for funeral homes. So I work directly business to business with funeral homes, funeral directors, and essentially my job is to not just sell stuff, show up at the door, but to train them on, educating families on what their options are.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Do you know Johnson Consulting?
I sure do. Yeah, I know Jake Johnson.
Jake Johnson, yeah. He's in the car world. Shout out to Jake Johnson.
I do, yeah. Got a heck of a car collection. Never seen it, but caught some pics. And I'm pretty impressed at both his JDM stuff and his Mustangs. I know he's a big Mustang guy.
Yeah, he's basically that kid around, I don't remember how old you are, but I think you're a little younger than I am. So I'll just say around our age, you don't feel left out. That grew up, had some success, made some money, and kept it real. Yeah. We have a couple of those guys actually in the area. Jordan is another guy. Low Baller GTR, shout out to Jordan. He's the same. Buys all the cool shit. But so what did you drive over here today?
I drove up here in my 2000 Lincoln Town Car 6-door limousine.
I wonder, so my daughter walked in while we were recording. I wonder if she's like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah, hanging out in front of the house, posted up with the 5% limo tent. And yeah, I'm sure she's thinking what's going on, especially with the One Auto sticker I still have on the back window of that thing.
Man, you've had that thing on there for a while. That's legit because there's a lot of people in the One Auto community that the sticker just disappears from their cars.
Yeah.
And I try not to care or notice, but I care every time, or I notice every time.
There you go. Funny enough, when I first moved back to Arizona back in 21, had that car sitting out front of my parents' house, and a guy who drove I think it was a 2019 Camaro SS, saw the One Auto decal, and then somehow tracked me down on Instagram. And slid into the DM, said, hey, man, saw the car. That's pretty rad. Talked to him. He ended up working for the home builder. So we had a good chit-chat over some car stuff. And, yeah.
That's awesome, man. Let's get into some car news. You guys car news? Yeah.
All right, car news.
I'll answer that in. All right. So here's one for the diehard car people. We're pulling up on our phones here. The production version of the Koenigsegg Gemera is here, if you care about that stuff. I used to really care about that stuff growing up, but I found that, I don't know, for whatever reason, and it's not because I'm old, because there's older people with a shit ton more money than I have, that are still into it. But for me, I haven't really cared so much about the hypercars. I think they look cool, but I couldn't tell you 3 things about them. What is your thought about this?
For me personally, I mean, I'm a big car guy, as you well know. Hypercars for me these days, just they don't give me the same energy as they once did. In my
Right.
teenage years, the days of Lamborghini, the Murcielago, the Gallardo, all those cars growing up. My teen years, those were cool things, cool stuff to see. I mean, all over TV. These days, I mean, I'm into more. I mean, still old school muscle like always, but I mean, even just '90s, early 2000s JDM cars gets me more excited than kind of stuff like this. But
Do you think it's because, and I think I've talked about this before, are we spoiled? Because where we live, we're in Phoenix
Mhm.
slash Scottsdale slash, Chandler, Gilbert. There's money everywhere around here. And we can go to Cars and Coffee, Highline Autos. And
Mhm.
I mean, I've seen a Koenigsegg there,
Yeah, exactly.
and maybe that's it. Because when I first moved here, it's like, oh, wow, look, the Porsche, oh, the Ferrari.
Yeah, I'll never forget, getting excited to see a Bentley Continental rolling down the street in Scottsdale. Things
So
like
maybe
that.
we're just so used to it. But
Yeah.
because there's times where I talk to people at Cars and Coffee or 404 and they're like, hey, did you go to Penske and see the release of the whatever? I'm like, I don't even know what that is.
Mhm.
They're like, oh, you kidding me? There's like 2 of them in the world and they're right here. I'm like,
Cool.
cool. I have no idea. And I don't care, but it's super cool. One thing about Koenigsegg though is they created that little motor. Did you see that?
I did not see that. No.
So they have and it's not in this article, I don't think, but they produced this tiny electric motor, and you guys can feel free to chime in the comments on what that is. I don't remember. It came out maybe last year where they had talked about it, but the little tiny motor, I think, produces like 400 or 500 horsepower, and it's like this big.
Huh.
So it's just probably 7 or 8 inch in diameter is what I'm holding up. And supposedly they're going to have 2 or 3 of them in the next one. And I think they reference it here in this article. It says, let's see, taken from the Jesco, which when paired with the hybrid motors will produce 2,300 horsepower on E85, resulting in power to weight ratio of blah, 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 blah. This $400,000 option, okay, $400,000 option allows customers to enjoy the 9-speed light speed transmission and the V8 noise on their daily commutes on the grocery runs. This inline 3.6 is still available for those who don't splurge for the V8.
All right.
So this is an inline 6, and the V8, if you want it, is an extra 400,000.
So that's kind of a similar setup to like almost like your NSX, right? Because that's a hybrid powertrain on that vehicle, right?
Yeah, yeah. There's no $400,000 options on the NSX,
Mhm.
but yeah. Tesla is offering, this is something that just came out, Tesla is offering to pay $18 to $48 an hour to drive its EVs this summer. Applicants must have a clean driving record, safe driving habits, and 4 years of experience. So 4 years of driving? So no 18-year-olds when I'm listening?
That's what it sounds like.
Tesla is offering to pay people to drive its EVs this summer. Tesla posted a series of job openings for seasonal test drivers. The company is willing to pay between 18 to 48, which we just covered. Tesla uses some of its test drivers to improve its self-driving features. I wonder how many people are applying for this.
I'd be curious too.
$18 an hour isn't bad as a side job.
No.
You can't live off of it. $48 an hour is crazy, including benefits. Like I would, not that I have any extra time, but I would seriously, I wonder how many people are doing Uber that are ready to quit and just drive Teslas.
That's kind of where my mind went, was these folks that are already kind of doing this kind of same scenario with Uber
Right.
would be a natural progression to move into something like this.
Because I know Uber pays really well for people who do it full time.
Yeah.
And they have benefits and all that kind of stuff. But I don't know, guys, what do you guys think about this? Would you be down to drive a Tesla for $18 to $48 an hour? I would drive anything if I can just do it in my own time.
Maybe not a Kia Carnival, but
If they wanted a tester for that, I think I would do
For $48?
$48. Yeah, I would do it for $48 an hour for sure.
that's fair.
That's a hell of a summer job. And finally, let's see, where is this fucker at? I lost my notes. Let's see. Oh, let's see. Hard parking notes. To see it is to be selling. See Dad's Christmas list. It's the redesign of the Kia. In fact, I'll just go to my text message. There we go. And finally, Infiniti introduces a new 3D logo, and this was actually announced a few weeks ago. This is the 4th logo redesign in Infiniti's 34-year history. It's time to focus more on the infinite road concept. Can you make out the changes? So this article is on Car and Driver, but it's been posted in multiple places, and it's got the Like, how would you describe that image?
I mean, it definitely is more three-dimensional than their current logo. And now talking about the Infinite Road point of view, that you can kind of see that more so with this logo than their previous iteration.
So it's like the triangle. It's like the triangle in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
Like they took the tip of it and they pinched it and then peeled it back.
Yeah.
So it looks like it's kind of leaning back. I don't understand. It's not like it's a dramatic change. And at the bottom, you can see all 4 logos.
Yeah.
And I guess it's the one in the bottom right. Right?
I'm assuming, or that one might be,
It's either the top left or the bottom right. Either starts with that or ends with that.
it's hard to tell what order this is. I feel like top right's definitely kind of like your more modern, the previous gen to this. And then some of these other ones look more like something from the early 2000s or even the 90s.
Yeah, my 2009. Okay, so if you keep scrolling down, and the link will be in the description of this episode if you guys will look at, keep scrolling down in the black box. It looks kind of like the current one, but looks like there's a little. Is it just my eyes are fucking with me here?
It looks like it's not connected there.
Okay, yeah, so it's not
That's
my
what
eyes.
I'm seeing.
Yeah, it looks like it's not connected.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know why they're redesigning it. What they need to do is put, a monstrous engine back in their cars. I have the 5.0 liter V8 sitting outside.
Yeah.
And I think Infinity's made some cool cars.
Absolutely, yeah.
But from an SUV standpoint, they need to refocus on displacement instead of doing that. What is it? Is it the CZ? What's
CVT?
That CVT?
Yeah, that trash transmission.
That trash transmission,
Yeah.
and they have something else that's like DCCVT or something that's even different now.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's where they need to redirect their focus. The vehicles look nice.
Yeah. Yeah, the styling's nice. I mean, I do like the styling on Infinities. The thing where they kind of lose me personally is I feel like the technology in them's kind of dated and antiquated.
What's the last Infinity you sat in?
Oh man,
You're not the first person that said that.
it's been a while. I worked at a car dealership in college, so CarMax spent a lot of time in a lot of Infinities, and this was like 2011 to 2014.
So the problem with Infinity is during that time, they kept the same technology.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, my 2009 Infinity sitting outside looks almost visually identical from the interior and exterior, obviously, but even going up to 2017 with the QX70.
Yeah.
Everything looks the same. The guts are a little different. The camera's a little better, I think. Now it has Bluetooth and whatever, whereas mine just was missing one of those things. I think mine has Bluetooth phone, but not Bluetooth audio.
Yeah.
And, I think they brought that in like 2010 or 11. But I was in a 2020 a couple years ago, or maybe a 21 QX50. And I thought that thing was incredible. And then we almost got a QX60 before we got the MDX.
Yeah.
And to me, the technology was way better than it's ever been.
Mm-hmm.
But even then, I've heard people that have been in newer cars say that, it's a little lacking. But when you're coming from what we came from, my wife had a 2011 Audi A4, and Audi is like the last car company to actually get their shit together.
Yeah, exactly.
And then, I've had nothing but old Infinities. I had that old ass Acura, that 97, behind me.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a lot of technology in that either from an audio standpoint. So,
yeah. I've sat in. I think what is it? And again, what's kind of confusing for me, the nomenclature for Infinity. They've changed all that a lot in my years, in my car dealership years. But
makes no sense.
What used to be the QX56, the Armada, Infinity equivalent. But that's probably the last Infinity I've ever sat in recent time, and was kind of like, I mean, for the price tag, I don't know if I'd spend that on an SUV like that.
Well, case in point, the QX70 is exactly the same as my FX 35, 37, 50. It's the exact same car. They just changed it. It's the exact same car.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a corporate cousin. It's the same manufacturer, just a different name.
Yep.
Devan, how can people stalk you online?
Well, I have several different Instagram pages. I do have one for the limo specifically. So kind of
that's the one we
with that
care
a little
about.
bit. That's the one we care about.
Oh, there's two.
There-
There's two that I follow, I think, religiously.
You follow.
Maybe there's three
You
of
might
them.
even follow 3 of my pages.
Okay.
But the Panther Limousine is going to be my limousine Instagram handle. That's kind of a play on word. That car is a Panther platform from Ford. The Crown Vic, the Grand Marquis, Lincoln Town Car. So that's kind of a play on there with the name there. And then I do have DNA Auto Detailing, my detailing
That's
business. I had this since 2009, kind of rolled
Photo
around
Dolo.
Arizona during that time from 09 to 14 when I was still living out here in college, doing some side gigs, helping some friends out and that kind of thing. So I have that handle as well. And then kind of my normal page, photo_dolo.
Photo Dolo.
That's me right there. If you want a glimpse into my day-to-day life and what I do, give me a follow.
You heard the guy. Give him a follow. This has been Hard Parking. The official send-off will be on the audio version for those of you guys. If you found this interesting, you found this fun, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, that like button, share it with a friend. I can't grow without you telling the world how great this channel is, or the show is. So let's do this thing. Let's grow this thing together, and I will check you guys out next time I decide to actually upload a video podcast. The Hard Parking Podcast, a little bit of cars and so much more, available anywhere you get your podcast, or check it out at hardparkingpod.com.
Shut up!